and welcome to Let Them Talk. I'm Paul DeRienzo.
And I'm Miss Joan Moossy.
And our guest, Prya Reddy. Welcome back to Let Them Talk. And unfortunately, it's for a sad purpose. We're here to talk about...
Totally sad.
I don't think it's sad either. I think it's a wonderful
totally
purpose.
Really sad, but
we're here to celebrate someone's life.
Well, let's tell everybody what it is then. It's a memorial and a celebration both of Brad Will, our friend who was killed 1 year ago, almost to the day, October 27th.
October
right?
27th, 2006 was when he was killed.
Right, in Oaxaca, Mexico. And for regular viewers of Let Them Talk, we've been following this issue of what's been happening in Oaxaca. We've done a whole series on Oaxaca
and on Brad, and had a lot of people come in and talk about him and his different work. And coming up this Saturday, there's a memorial at St. Mark's Church that it's going to be really interesting.
From noon to 4, and then afterward, we're gathering in a community garden nearby with a fire and songs that actually Brad used to sing. So
oh, great.
Great.
It was such a movement voice and spirit that way, you know, the songs he sang.
Now, Priya, you're a filmmaker as well, and we want to talk more about your work and about Brad, but first I think maybe we should show a few moments of the video.
Oh, that's
tell us a little bit of,
introduce
the video.
Well, this is Brad's footage from Oaxaca, Mexico, when he went down there to document an uprising because he felt it was necessary to bear witness to this people's movement down there in Mexico. Our neighbor, that's why his footage is called The Revolution Next Door, because after we got it, after he was killed, I mean, there were like 27 tapes. This is only about 10 minutes worth, but it gives you a real perspective and glimpse into an actual uprising, a revolutionary movement. And so that's why Brad was there. And unfortunately, he was murdered in cold blood by a government gunman with a rifle. And it's part of the corruption and terror down there, the state terror that these people are resisting. So this is the context, you know, of this footage. It's just too bad that Brad had to pay such a high price with his life to get this truth and this story out. But that's what he did, you know, as an independent media that is non-corporate, you know, media.
And he did accomplish his purpose. He did get the information out, and we're about to see it.
Yeah, so. That was actually his final act, I think, was to document a revolution, not to die, because that he had no control over. But what he did have control over, you know, we're about to see.
All right, we're going to go to it right now. And welcome back to Let 'Em Talk. I'm Paul DeRienzo with Joan Moossy and our guest Prya Reddy, who made that film, the filmmaker. Who
I couldn't have made it without Brad's footage.
That's true, but you put it together beautifully.
The trailer from the Anarchist Film Festival, actually, with Brad's footage.
Oh, really?
From last year.
Great.
No, that was a very moving piece.
Yeah.
I think you did an incredible job with that, and I think it's something that would really make him proud.
Well, I wish I did something like that while he was alive. But we always wait till it's too late to tell each other how much we love you, yeah. Brad.
Well, Brad was a wonderful person.
You know, he was my friend.
That's right. And I'd love you to tell the story of how you met Brad.
Oh, we
And how big he was when you met him.
No, you know, I just, thank you for showing that film, because he was a New Yorker, you know, and to have this go out over the airwaves of his hometown.
It's wonderful.
It's kind of cool. I think he would like that, you know.
Absolutely.
Maybe he's part of the air, I imagine. But, well, Brad's an activist, and as well as doing this independent journalism, and I met him out in the Pacific Northwest in this old-growth forest, this ancient primeval forest. That was going to be bulldozed like all the other extraordinary phenomena that's left in the Pacific Northwest, you know, natural beauty. So to save it, people decided to occupy the trees. Tree sitting was the tactic, and Brad was a tree sitter. And this is before I learned to be one. But, you know, these trees are so old, like 1,200 years old, and so tall, like 200 feet. You know, that's pretty big. So he was up there in the tree, like, really small, because I was on the ground and he was up in the tree, and he yelled down and was like, I need some coffee. Dude.
How long did he stay up in that tree?
I'm not sure. He came and went, and you know, was one of the early people out there at he was in the, you know, in Oregon actually, and you know, with my friend Jeffrey Lures, who's in prison right now. You know, the best and the bravest stick their necks out, and sometimes, you know, the system is horrible, so we often pay a price in resisting its destruction, you know, and standing up to its destruction.
By the way, we can take your calls if you want to talk to us. We're live here in the studio. Our number is 212-757-1538.
So call us up.
212-757-1538. And call, and we'll, if you have a comment or question for Priya, to talk about this first anniversary of the murder of Brad Will in Oaxaca, Mexico.
Or if you knew Brad and you have an interesting story to tell, we'd love to hear that.
Priya, remind viewers where the memorial is happening.
Okay. It's at St. Mark's Church. That's Saturday, the 27th, October 27th, the day Brad was killed in 2006, a year ago.
So this coming Saturday.
It's on 10th Street and 2nd Avenue on the east side. And it's an old church, and we'd been there so many times before for community events, and Brad had sang songs there. And anyway, we're going to show his footage and talk about and share our feelings.
What time does that start? On Saturday, do you know? Is it an all-day event, or?
Yeah, it's all day from like noon to 4. We're going to have free food and a brunch at noon, and then, you know, it's really extraordinary when people who love each other or love something come together and share this energy and feeling. It says a lot about who he was and continues to be in our hearts, and
he continues to inspire people.
Yeah, that doesn't end, and so this energy continues, and it's very important, I think. A lot of people woke up after Brad was murdered, you know.
Now tell us a little bit about the investigation into his murder. There's a whole series of events. Like, at first someone was arrested, then they were released. Is this right?
Yes, it's a corrupt, disgusting, brutal, murderous government down in Mexico, not unlike our own, but, and so the investigation hasn't gone very far in terms of, you know, like court justice or anything like that, state, you know, processes.
Or even an arrest.
Or even an arrest, yeah. But in terms of the actual evidence, that's being compiled, and there is enough evidence to certainly be able to say that, you know, the Mexican government claimed that Brad had been shot by a fellow protester. But not only is that the furthest thing from the truth, but the assassin was a government gunman, you know, and I think we have footage of him. They may not like to hear that, but we are going to find him.
By the way, we're watching a video of Brad playing the guitar, doing what he loved to do best when he wasn't running around with the video camera or sitting in the tree.
You know, his music was so, you know, it was about social justice and freedom and inspiration and hope and having hope in the darkness and fighting back, and these things wanted me. Sometimes nothing else could cheer me up, you know, except for a song, but you know, from Brad. But this was just such a gift for us to, you know, to be able to like rejoice in being alive despite everything that we have to deal with.
Now, what about the U.S. government involvement in investigating this?
I'm really going to miss that, you know. Well, the U.S. government is allies with Mexico and has no interest, obviously, in the uprising next door, other than supplying military hardware to the Mexican government to suppress people's movements and the uprising, you know, and that's kind of what happened, this military repression. And so that's the role of the United States government, also in Dead End Avenue. But there have been
people that are lobbying
to reach Congress people and other people to look into the investigation. Yes, so
to try to pressure the Mexican government, or
you know, and you know, some diplomatic channels. And I think that should be done. But as the uprising will demonstrate, and Brad as an anarchist, you know, he was an anarchist, and you know, we think that relying on the government for justice is a waste of time and energy, because the government is organized to destroy people's freedom and to control people, and so we wouldn't want to look to that for any kind of justice. I mean, that's why there's an uprising. You know, that's what we have hope and faith in. That's what he went down there to support.
Let's see if we can hear Brad singing.
Since I woke up today,
Angel from Montgomery.
I'm a hell-camp person. Go to work in the morning, come home in the evening, and have nothing to say. Make me an angel that flies from Montgomery. Make me a poster of an old rodeo. Just give me one thing that I can hold on to. To believe in this living's just a hard way to go. When I was a young girl, well, I had me a cowboy. He weren't much to look at, just a free ramming man. That was a long time ago, and no matter how I tried, the years seemed to roll by like a broken down dam. Make me an angel, flies from Montgomery. Make me a poster of an old rodeo. Just give me one thing that I can hold on to. To believe in this living's just a hard way to go.
And welcome back to Let Them Talk. I'm Paul DeRienzo with Miss Joan Marie Moossy, our guest, Prya Reddy, who is a filmmaker who has taken the work
And that was my friend Brad Will, our friend, colleague.
who was murdered 1 year ago, almost to the day, this Saturday, actually, October 27th, in Oaxaca,
Wasn't
Mexico.
that a beautiful song? Because I mean, that really cheered me up.
Our number, by the way, is 212-757-1538. We could take your calls here. We're live in the studio here at MNN, and if you knew, pardon me, if you knew, thank you, if you knew Brad, and
you love Brad.
you know, if you have any questions about what's happening in Oaxaca and why Brad was in Oaxaca and what's been happening in Oaxaca, we'd be happy to try and answer.
So how
those
did you know
questions.
Brad, Paul?
Oh, I met Brad at the squat over on 5th Street. You know, because
That was his home.
yeah,
Before they tore it down.
yeah, before they tore it down. Right, I was there. You know, I actually was when that 5th Street squat was opened. It had been, the city had bricked it up back in the 1980s, and it was abandoned, and there was cinder block in the doorway. And I have photographs. I have to scan them out of my collection of old negatives of when folks first went in there with sledgehammers. It was the most amazing thing. It was sort of the iconic squatter image to see.
You should see more of that again.
The squatters
you know?
taking those sledgehammers and bashing in those bricks, and the
And of course
authorities.
there's a heroic story about Brad on 5th Street,
Right,
which
when they tried to knock
Right.
the building down.
that's right, where
He wouldn't leave.
I know.
he went back in, he rose to the roof with a red flag, and he was
Was
amazing.
it red? I don't know.
Right, and they
Was it?
stopped. It was red.
It was, and everyone in the street was cheering. And
There's a famous photograph, you can see it on the internet, and he's there standing on top of the building, and see, they had the gigantic crane in front of the
Yeah,
building.
huge wrecking ball.
And they were going to just start, they did, they sort
They
of
had already
slammed
hit
it.
it, right.
They
Yeah.
slammed the building.
when his head
on
popped
top.
out.
to the
Right.
and they had to
Yeah.
stop everything.
He was like,
Right.
It's
They
the
temporarily
famous
stopped
Lower
the
East
demolition
Side.
of that
people
building.
lived there, and they couldn't even get their stuff out.
That's
Right.
right.
I mean,
and that was
artists and
unfortunately
everything.
not
Yes.
the only instance of that on the
Right,
Lower
and,
East Side.
and folks had lived in that place for many years, and the city
You know,
come
this
on several
Brad
occasions.
took a stand, and he did so till the moment he was killed. And he could have left those people and sought safety. I mean, he was with other media when he was killed, but no, he decided to stay with the people,
Well,
even
when
though
I-
they were being shot at, because, you know, that's why he was there. And I don't know if that's not objectivity, but it certainly puts his subject in a very special place as witness, you know?
Well, I met him in a situation where he was supporting the people in an attempt to save a building on the Lower East Side where I live, and ABC No Rio. So we formed a coalition to try to fight off the people that were trying to get rid of us, and Brad was one of the young men that came in support of the two factions of the coalition, and he came out to a lot of demonstrations, and it was wonderful to have that kind of support from the community. And that's how I met him quite early in when he arrived in New York. So
He was an
Wow.
activist from the
Just
get-go.
a young chicken.
He
When I
breathed
say
it.
that, what does that mean? Sorry. Yeah, but that, no.
You don't want to
He
say
was from
that.
the Midwest. He was very
Yes, he was from the
happy
Midwest.
about being in New York.
Right, from Wisconsin, a place that mints radical anarchists.
Wisconsin.
Something
It was
about
very
the
pretty
cheese
then.
and the cold weather
Right.
that somehow produces very progressive-minded
He
individuals.
really took to New York.
Yes, he
was-
flew right. He
was
moved
Yeah,
right
he
in that
certainly
squad,
did.
and
like
he
for
was,
many of us.
yeah, and he was
outcasts.
very much involved
It's
with the
true.
East, with Lower East Side scene. He would never call it the East Village. He was a Lower East Sider to the core, as we all are, and fought for his community. And he took that struggle, that search, that thirst and desire, the need to find alternative means of organizing, brought him to Oaxaca, where
and to the world. I mean, he
Really?
was also in Brazil, and
Yeah.
Oh,
he,
yeah,
he traveled
exactly.
quite widely.
Traveler the
Yes.
world.
And he was actually in Brazil, wasn't he? Involved in situations where he was in these ghettos in the urban centers of Brazil, where the police and the local communities are
Yeah,
in,
it was
are in
this
a war or in a
landless
battle.
community of
Yeah.
poor people. They had lived in a place, and the police came to evict them and destroy their homes. And some of them decided to stay and fight back. And Brad was there filming, and the violence the police used, throwing tear gas into people's homes, who had, like children and babies. But he was there, and the only reason they beat the hell out of him. They caught him, but he
Yeah.
got the tape out. He put it in his clothes, I think, in his underwear, and so we can actually see this, and it really made a huge political ripple, you know, there. But
And in that same search for these alternative
This
methods of
is-
organization, alternative societies, alternatives to the sort of brain-deadening capitalistic system, brought him to Oaxaca. And where Apo and the people of Oaxaca, the teachers union and the local people have been fighting against this bully.
Somebody who's paying
governor.
attention to what's going on in the world, and even though he had to struggle with surviving his own here, you know, it's not easy to survive here, and let alone save your pennies together and go somewhere and do a story that nobody's paying you to do, but you're doing it because it has to be done, because
we have to wrap up here.
There's a revolution.
Well, let's repeat when the memorial is quickly on Saturday.
And he did this because of the love in his heart, which, you know, and after he was killed, all over the world erupted in protest, if you remember. One person can really love so much.
So come out Saturday, St. Mark's Church from 12 to 4. That's 10th Street and 2nd Avenue. Thank you,
10th Street
Priya.
and 2nd Avenue. Yeah. Noon to 4, and around 2, we're going to show some films, so please join us.
See some of the films, and we'll go out with a few seconds of Brad.
With us.
They finished off that dam, and the water flowed as it flowed for 1,000